I was working the front desk at a boutique hotel in Melbourne's CBD when an American businessman checked in around 9 p.m. on a Thursday. He'd just closed some tech deal and wanted everyone to know about it. He spent 5 minutes telling me about his company's valuation, his corner office in San Francisco, and how he'd just signed a contract worth more than you'll make in 10 years, no offense. I said congratulations and handed him his room key. He looked confused and asked why I wasn't more excited for him. I told him it sounded like a good day. He actually said, "In America, people celebrate success. Is that not a thing here?" I explained Australians just do things differently. He insisted I was being passive-aggressive and asked if there was someone more enthusiastic available to help him. I was the night manager. He spent another 3 minutes explaining that confidence is how you get ahead in business, and maybe that's why Australia's economy is smaller than California's. I wished him a pleasant stay. He left a review saying the staff seemed intimidated by success. Last month, a woman from Texas told my coworker at a cafe in Bondi that she loved how laid back we were, but worried we'd never achieve anything with that attitude. She'd ordered a flat white and mentioned she was a life coach. When my coworker just nodded and made her coffee, she asked if he had any dreams or ambitions. He said he was pretty happy. She left him her business card anyway. And that was just the morning shift. I drive for Uber in Brisbane, and last winter I picked up an American woman from a marketing conference at the convention center. Before I'd even pulled into traffic, she was telling me about her keynote speech. She'd apparently crushed it and got a standing ovation. I said that's nice. She asked if I knew what she spoke about. I said I didn't. She spent the next 10 minutes explaining her personal brand strategy and how she'd built a 6-figure Instagram following. Every few sentences, she'd stop and wait for me to react. When I just kept driving and saying, "Yeah, good on ya," she finally asked why I wasn't asking questions. I said she seemed to be doing fine without them. She told me that in America, when someone shares their success, you're supposed to ask follow-up questions and show interest. I told her Australians are interested, we just don't make a big deal about it. She said that was culturally limiting, and asked how Australian businesses compete globally if no one celebrates wins. I mentioned we do fine. She insisted there must be some Australian companies that embrace American-style confidence. I named a few successful Aussie companies. She said, "But do they brag about it?" I said probably not. She spent the rest of the ride explaining that tall poppy syndrome was holding Australia back. She'd learned the term that afternoon. When we got to her hotel in South Bank, she gave me 3 stars and a comment about lacking enthusiasm. I work at a gym in Perth, and an American guy joined last month who'd just moved here for work. Nice enough bloke, but every single workout became a performance. He'd finish a set and announce his numbers to the whole room. Just hit 225 on bench, that's 2 plates for those keeping track. No one was keeping track. After a week of this, another member quietly told him that's not really how we do things here. The American looked genuinely confused and said, "You don't celebrate PRs? How do you stay motivated?" The Aussie bloke said he just works out. The American looked genuinely confused and said, "You don't celebrate PRs? How do you stay motivated?" The Aussie bloke said he just works out. The American started explaining the importance of accountability and community support in fitness culture. He said that in America, gyms are built on people pushing each other by sharing their achievements. He asked if maybe that's why Australia has lower obesity rates but fewer Olympic medals per capita. He'd looked it up. The Aussie just walked away. The American found me at the front desk and asked if the gym had any issue with members who exemplify excellence. I told him we don't really have that problem. He asked what I meant. I said most people here just do their workout and leave. He said that sounded sad. 2 weeks later, He canceled his membership because the energy wasn't aligned with his goals. My sister works at a law firm in Sydney, and they hired an American attorney last year through some partnership program. First day, he introduced himself in the office kitchen by listing where he went to law school, his class ranking, and 3 major cases he'd worked on. Everyone just sort of nodded and went back to making tea. He asked if anyone had questions about his background. Silence. He laughed and said, "Tough crowd." At lunch, he asked my sister why no one seemed curious about his credentials. She said everyone had probably already read his CV since HR would have sent it around. He said yes, but that's different from personal connection. He explained that in America, you're supposed to tell people about your achievements so they know what you bring to the table. My sister said his work would probably speak for itself. He insisted that's not how you build professional relationship. He said Australians seem almost afraid of success, like we're embarrassed by it. My sister said we're not embarrassed, we just don't need to talk about it constantly. He asked if she'd ever considered how this cultural trait might impact her career trajectory. She said her career was going fine. He spent the next month trying to implement wins meetings, where everyone shared their weekly achievements. No one came. I manage a restaurant in Hobart, and last summer an American couple came in for dinner. The food was good, service was normal, nothing special but nothing wrong. When I did the rounds asking how everything was, the husband said it was great and then just sat there staring at me. I said excellent and started to move to the next table. He stopped me and asked if I had any questions. I said like what? He said like where they were from, what brought them to Tasmania, what they thought of the menu. I said if he wanted to chat, I had time, but I was just checking on the food. He said that in America, servers build rapport with customers. He said it's good business because personal connection leads to better tip. I explained we don't really have tipping culture here. He already knew that and said it proved his point. He said maybe if Australian servers made more effort, tipping would catch on. His wife looked mortified. He continued that Americans know how to make dining an experience, not just a transaction. I said the experience was the food. He said the experience was the service, and the service includes making customers feel special. I asked if there was anything wrong with his meal. He said no, but there was something wrong with my attitude. I asked him to clarify. He said I wasn't being friendly enough. I told him I thought I was being perfectly friendly. He said friendly means asking questions, being enthusiastic, acting happy they chose our restaurant. I said I was happy they chose the restaurant. He said I should show it more. I asked how. He said smile bigger, lean in, be energetic. I told him this was me being energetic. He left a 2-star review saying the staff seemed dead inside. I work at a bookshop in Byron Bay, and an American woman came in last month looking for self-help books. I showed her the section. She spent 20 minutes browsing, then brought 5 books to the counter. While I was ringing them up, she started telling me about her journey of personal growth and healing. I said that's nice and gave her the total. She kept talking. I started bagging the books. She said, "You're not even listening." I said I was listening, I just needed to finish the transaction because there were other customers. She said that in America, booksellers engage with customers about their purchases because books are personal. I said that's fair enough. She asked what self-help books I liked. I said I didn't really read that genre. She looked shocked and asked how I could work in a bookshop without being passionate about books. I said I liked books fine, just different kinds. She said it seemed sad that I wasn't using my job as an opportunity for growth and connection. I handed her the bag. She said, "This is exactly what's wrong with retail outside America. No pasión." I said have a nice day. She asked if I meant that. I said yes. She said it didn't sound like I meant it. I asked how she wanted me to say it. She demonstrated by saying have a great day, with big energy and a huge smile. I said that felt a bit much for me. She said maybe that's something I should work on. She tried to hand me one of the books she'd just bought, said it might help. I declined. She left it on the counter anyway. I'm a tour guide in Cairns, and I do reef tours mostly. American tourists are usually fine, but last month I had a group with one woman who could not handle that I wasn't more excited about the reef. Like, I see it every day. It's beautiful, yes, but I'm not going to jump up and down about it every single time. She kept saying things like, "Isn't this amazing?" and waiting for me to match her energy. I'd say, "Yeah, it's great." She'd say, "Just great." I'd say, "It's very great." She told the group that Australians don't appreciate what they have. She said if this reef was in America, we'd have 20 different TV shows about it and everyone would be screaming about how blessed they were. I pointed out we do actually have documentaries about the reef. She said but the people making them probably don't show enough passion. She asked if I'd ever considered that my lack of enthusiasm might be diminishing the tourist experience. I said no one else had complained. She said that's because they were being polite. Another Australian woman on the tour said actually, she found my calm explanations quite nice. The American said she was probably suffering from tall poppy syndrome too. She'd just learned that phrase the day before. She spent the rest of the tour trying to get people to cheer whenever we saw fish. When we got back to the dock, she asked if I'd ever thought about moving to America where my knowledge would be more valued. I said I was good here. I work at a real estate office in Gold Coast, and last month an American couple came in looking to buy property. They'd just moved here for work and wanted to settle down. Normal stuff. During the consultation, the husband kept mentioning what he did for a living, how much he made, what kind of house he could afford. Every detail. My colleague, who was handling the listing, just kept nodding and showing them properties in their range. The husband finally stopped mid-sentence and asked, "Are you impressed?" My colleague said impressed by what? The husband said by their success, their financial position, the fact that they were buying in such an expensive market. My colleague said lots of people buy houses. The wife quietly apologized and said her husband was used to a different kind of response. The husband said no, he wasn't apologizing for being proud of what he'd achieved. He said in America, when you work hard and succeed, people acknowledge it. My colleague said we do acknowledge it, we just do it differently. The husband asked how. My colleague said by helping them find a good house. The husband said that felt transactional. My colleague said it was a transaction. The husband insisted that good business was about more than transactions, it was about relationships and mutual respect. My colleague said he respected them fine. The husband said, "Do you though? Because you haven't asked a single question about our journey or what we've overcome to get here." My colleague said he didn't need to know their journey to sell them a house. The husband said that attitude was exactly what he meant. He said Australians seem almost resentful of success. My colleague, who owned 3 properties himself, said we're not resentful, we just don't need to hear about it. The husband said that proved his point. He asked if maybe the reason was that Australians weren't as successful on average, so they developed this cultural coping mechanism. My colleague asked if they wanted to see the house or not. They saw the house. They loved it. They made an offer. It got accepted. At the closing, the husband asked if my colleague was happy for them. My colleague said sure. The husband said he still didn't sound like he meant it. My colleague said that was just how he sounded. The wife whispered something to her husband. They signed the papers. The husband left a Google review saying the service was efficient but emotionally cold. 3 locals commented, "Sounds perfect." Look, here's the thing about working with tourists. You see every kind of cultural difference, and most of them are fine. But the success thing gets weird because Americans genuinely can't understand why we don't care. They think we're lying or being passive-aggressive. The idea that we just actually don't care about their achievements doesn't compute. And somewhere right now, another American is explaining to a confused Australian that confidence and self-promotion are essential life skills, and the Australian is just nodding and thinking about what's for dinner.